Ready for opening day baseball. Kyle Hendricks and the gang getting ready to take the field. And time now to send it over to the third member of our crew. Hello, T-Mac. Happy opening day.
Happy opening day to you as well, Boog. We are seeing 28-man expanded rosters all across Major League Baseball this opening day to combat for the shortened spring training that we saw this spring. The Cubs announcing their roster today featuring 14 position players and 14 pitchers, as well as 3 men on the 10-day IL. Alec Mills, Wade Miley, Andrelton Simmons. On the pitching front, 11 right-handers, 3 lefties, 6 infielders, 6 outfielders positionally. Some names to highlight there: Michael Hermosillo, Alfonso Rivas, Clint Frazier, all breaking with the squad after having big-time springs. Teams will carry 28 men until May 2nd, and that's when rosters will be reduced to the normal 26 men, guys.
All right, Kyle Hendricks will go to work. Let's check out the Brewers lineup. It's presented by Ford. And here you go with Wong, Adames, and Yelich. They need Yelich to have a better year this year. McCutchen signed to a 1-year deal. Tellez, Renfroe, Narvaez, Kane, and Peterson. They were 6th in the league in runs per game last year, but much better after acquiring Willy Adames. And as mentioned, that lineup will go up against Kyle.
Kyle Hendricks is the starting pitcher for the Cubs, brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you, 3rd consecutive opening day assignment for Kyle Hendricks. He takes the mound with this arsenal of pitches: sinker, changeup, 4-seamer, and curveball. Point of emphasis this spring was down, down, down. Try to command that pitch down and away to both right and left-handed hitters. Cubs defensively brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield. The Cubs align thusly this afternoon. It's a new look out there with Suzuki joining the ball club. He gets right. Hayward will slide over with his 5 gold gloves and play center. Ian Happ, who missed time due to an elbow issue in spring training, is in left. Around the horn we go. It's Wisdom, Horner, Madrigal, and Schwindel. Wilson Contreras is behind the plate.
And today's Cubs game is available in Spanish, brought to you by Toyota on your SAP audio setting, provided by Tudian Univision Sports Chicago, 1200 AM. Miguel Esparza and Omar Ramos on the call. So ready to roll. The first game in the majors right here at Wrigley on a chilly April day. Wong climbs in, Cubs with the shift on, and here we go. Hendricks winds it up and fires. And that one is popped in the air for Patrick Wisdom. Wandering to his left, the wind playing with it. 1 pitch and 1 out. Good start.
That's the way to start it. And let's take now a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by our local Hyundai dealers. Go long-ish. Talking about Kyle Hendricks, see how far he can go. Obviously, abbreviated spring training is a bit of an issue. You figure you're going to have to scratch and claw for runs against Corbin Burns. And what the Cubs do at the end of the ball game, should they have the lead, it seems like David Ross is not really focusing in on one guy as his closer. He's going to play the matchup game.
So now Hendricks deals to Adames, and that one in there for a strike. Willy Adames, the Brewers acquired him from the Rays May 21st. He debuted May 22nd, and he changed their team. Slid into the shortstop spot, bumped Luis Urias to 3rd. Swing and a miss right there. Adames with the Brewers last year hit 20 homers in just over 400 plate appearances. Curveball misses down in the dirt. JD, as we play games in April at Wrigley Field, it's normally cold. Today it is cold.
It is cold. The wind is blowing out, however. Typically, or quite often anyway, the wind's blowing in off the lake, and that makes it even colder. Generally, cold weather favors the pitchers. And sometimes you get to a point where it's just miserable for everybody. I don't think that's the case today. And hopefully the rain stays away.
Look how far Hayward shaded towards right center. Adames has great power to the right of second base. Lots of slug that way. And he swings and misses there. And a good start for Hendricks. 2 down.
A couple of years ago on opening day, that was when opening day was the end of July because of the pandemic. It was a 3-hit shutout for Hendricks. Off to a great start here today. A meek pop up and a punch out with that down and away changeup that we focused on in our pregame.
Glove side changeup from a right-hander. It's hard to execute.
Very hard to execute. Tendency for that pitch just to leak back over the plate.
And Yelich greeted warmly here at Wrigley. Ball 1 to the left fielder. Former MVP in 18, the runner-up in 19. The last 2 years haven't been very kind. In fact, he slugged under 400 the last 2 seasons combined, hoping for a bounce-back year. To first, and left on the short hop, Schwindel. Frank the Tank handles it. Kyle Hendricks gets him quickly and quietly. 1-2-3. Seiya Suzuki and the Cubs coming up to hit as we get ready for baseball here at Wrigley Field. The beautiful Megalodon camera powered by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on the most exciting lineup at nissanusa.com. Tega getting set to lead things off as we take a look at the Cubs lineup, brought to you by Binny's Beverage Depot. If you can't find it at Binny's, it's probably not worth drinking. Cubs last year 11th in the league in runs per game, 12th in on base. They had the lowest contact rate in the majors, the highest strikeout rate in the bigs. Trying to change some of that stuff. Madrigal certainly is going to help. Horner at the bottom, and then Suzuki at OPS just south of 1100 over in Japan. And a look at Corbin Burns, and you see him fiddling with his hat. He was looking with PitchCom. We'll get to that in a second, but there's his arsenal.
Brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you, the reigning Cy Young Award winner. There's a whole lot of nasty out there.
Rafael Ortega last year, as a baseball got loose in the field and Kane picked it up, and I think he chucked it out of the park.
That way nobody can throw it back at him.
That's right. This guy did great work. He's 30 years old, and he especially knocked around right-handed pitching last year. Hit 321, slugged over 520. Now this isn't your average righty on the hill. The pitch inside.
No, but you want as many left-handed bats in there as possible against Corbin Burns. Righties hit just a .179 against him last year with a .245 slugging percentage. He allowed just 7 home runs all year.
Yeah, that one downstairs. So Ortega, I mean, that's a really darn good slash line against righties. A guy who debuted at 21 years old in 2012 and then didn't play again in the majors until 2016. You talk about
paying your dues.
Yeah, and some stick-to-itiveness,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the really good storylines for the Cubs last year after the big trade deadline transition, for lack of a better word. Schwindel, Wisdom, all really good stories last year.
That one buzzes through there for a strike. Ortega grew up in Venezuela, big Bobby Abreu fan, but yeah, I mean, you look at that over the course of 16, 18, 19 of a total of, I mean, 440 plate appearances, and right there coaches a walk against Corbin Burns.
Well, there's a certain amount of irony in that. Last year, Corbin Burns struck out the 58 punch-outs before he issued his very first walk.
Amazing, right? Yeah, and that was a big league record. 58 strikeouts to begin the season before his first walk, and now our first look in regular season play at Nick Madrigal. Last year, those are the numbers. 54 games, a torn right hamstring on June 9th against the Blue Jays ended his year, and then he came in the Craig Kimbrell trade from the White Sox. Burns fighting it a little bit.
Narvaez kind of pancaked that one too. Didn't do him any favors. Madrigal, a guy who rarely strikes out. He doesn't walk much either. He's an ideal number 2 hitter. Wherever we're inclined to play hit and run, this would be a time to do it.
Went too far, and that's a strike. Corbin Burns got the flow. I mean, that's some good lettuce he's rocking. And now Madrigal asks for time. I think you're going to see some of this a lot today where Burns is really going to try and up the tempo. Again, he's utilizing that pitch comm device, he and Narvaez. That's out towards right center field, fairly well struck. Kane gliding across. And the former Gold Glover able to haul it in.
So check in with the Brewers defensively. It's brought to you by Fubo TV. Yelich is in left. You just saw Lorenzo Cain in center. Hunter Renfroe has one of the best throwing arms in all of baseball. He's a newbie with Milwaukee. He's in right. Jace Peterson at third today. Luis Urias will be the regular third baseman. He's on the IL. Adames and Wong up the middle. Solid. Wong spectacular. Rowdy Tellez at first base. Omar Narvaez is behind the plate.
And here is Wilson Contreras. 6 straight opening day start. And opening day is always a picture perfect day, isn't it? I don't care what the temperature is. And again, even with a guy on, Burns is pushing the pace. And the Cubs, at least as of right now, are not going to utilize that pitch comm device. That one misses the mark.
You think Burns, you think that cutter, that's a pretty good curveball right there. Fastball, average fastball velocity last year was 97 miles per hour. He throws the cutter at 95. So he sacrifices 2 miles per hour to get that late movement on his cutter.
Throw over to first. How about we check out our umpiring crew as we got the crew chief behind the plate in Ted Barrett, our FTX umpire crew. So Ted Barrett calls balls and strikes. Lance Barksdale is at first. Nick Lentz at second. And Nestor Sea is down there at third.
Not happy with Ted Barrett on that one, but it appeared to be a little bit outside.
Yeah, there have been pitches on the edge. The Cubs so far in 10 pitches have swung twice.
Well, everybody's concerned about pitching, right? Coming out of a shortened spring training, the pitchers didn't get the normal build-up time, so endurance could be an issue. How long managers let starting pitchers go definitely will be an issue. So you can understand a strategy where the Cubs are trying to be patient to work the pitch count up on Corbin Burns. The issue is generally he has very good command and he doesn't walk people. So if you're trying to take pitches and all of a sudden you're 0-1, 0-2, that's generally not a good thing.
That is in the air, center field. Going back is Kane, drifting back and makes the catch shy of the warning track. And there's 2 down. Well, one of the things to consider with the Brewers, JD, is that last year they went with a 6-day rotation. So 90 of the starts were on exactly 5 days rest. So a guy pitching on the 6th day, that was the most in baseball. It was on purpose. They didn't really use 6 full guys. There was a 6th that they used from time to time. But last year was the first time in Major League history that more starts were made on 5 days rest than on 4.
Yeah, the Angels are going to do something similar this year.
Runner takes off, throw down, tag. Ow. And Ortega is cut down, and a pretty good job by Adames corralling the throw and putting the tag on Rafael Ortega. Opening day, on my way to the ballpark now. Hashtag Cubs, and Hall of Famers throwing out the ceremonial first pitches today. Oh,
they gave it to the young guy.
That's right. Lee out front. The Hawk, Rhino, Billy Williams as well. Yeah, Fergie Jenkins, great stuff. Lee Smith closing it out. So Hendricks, who was able to get him 1, 2, 3 in the top of the first, and Kyle go back to work. Here's Andrew McCutchen. He took 8 pitches in that first inning for Hendricks. It's in the air down the right field line, and that one's slicing. Pretty well struck, though, and that one is fair and into the corner. Suzuki digs it out, and McCutchen is into second with a double. Just fair.
Yeah, luckily into second with a double, I might add. He didn't run. He watched that ball out of the box, assuming it was going to twist foul. And Suzuki's got a big arm out there and right. All's well that ends well for McCutchen. And he's kind of doing the watch and lean. Then said, wait a minute. Better run here ultimately. And speeds into second base will lead off double. A little spot of bother here for Hendricks.
So that one finds space in fair territory, and Suzuki checking his defensive card, and Rowdy Tellez stands in. You have the shift on with the big left-hand hitter at the plate. JD, how about this?
Yes.
You go back to 2011. Prince Fielder, you were familiar with him.
I remember him, yeah.
He was their opening day starter at first base. This guy is the 11th different starting opening day first baseman since 2011. I'm going to give you the list. In 2012, Prince goes to Detroit, and here are their opening day first basemen: Matt Gamble, Alex Gonzalez, Lyle Overbay, Adam Lynn, Chris Carter, Eric Thames, Ryan Braun, Jesus Aguilar, Justin Smoke, Keston Hiura, and now Rowdy Tellez. It's amazing.
Yeah, I would have gotten 6. I feel like
that would have been your guess.
Had that been a quiz.
Okay. Had that been true. This guy's got big time power. He just hasn't gotten the plate appearances. One year in Toronto, when he had his most plate appearances in 2019, he had a little over 400. He hit 21 homers, so he's got pop. Good job by Hendricks getting him to wave at that changeup, and a strikeout, his second. All right, this is our new Phantom camera. Check this out.
Just beautifully placed changeup. You see the movement down and away from Tellez. He's not had many looks at Kyle Hendricks. That changeup can be beguiling.
I like your comfort with the guy. I'm just. I get scared.
Mix it up.
I get scared. He is the type of pitcher, though, that I associate with that word, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, as a hitter, you can tell yourself over and over again, you got to protect. You got to think about that changeup, trying to stay back. But it's obviously easier said than done. See it out of the hand, it looks good. You start, and it just never gets there. And not only the off-speed nature of it, but he has such good command and the ability to manipulate that pitch. Fade it down and away to both right and left-handed hitters is really impressive.
McCutchen out there at second. Swing and a miss. Kyle Hendricks at 32 years old, California native. Drafted by the Rangers in 2011, came to the Cubs in 2012 in the trade for our buddy Ryan Dempster. Making his 3rd straight opening day start. And a good pitch right there. Gets the strikeout, back to back.
Cubs Charities 50-50 raffle is back. Today's special raffle will benefit Ukrainian relief efforts. For all home games, Cub fans in Illinois can purchase raffle tickets at cubs.com/raffle starting at 11 a.m. through the end of the game, or by visiting with a Wrigley Field ambassador through the 8th inning. They're really nice folks, and be happy to help you out and sell you some raffle tickets.
No doubt. They are awesome. Here's Omar Narvaez. See the Brewers yesterday completing a trade for our old friend Victor Caratini.
Yeah, they needed a backup catcher. The other one was suspended with PED, a banned substance.
Yeah, Pedro
Severino.
So Craig Counsell has a new backup catcher. Hendricks getting the swings and misses early. That's always a good sign.
Digging into some of the advanced stuff, looking at some numbers on him, its curveball spin rate was elite last year. And you remember when he first started throwing that curveball, he's always had it. It's kind of a just get over, sloppy.
Yes.
Just going to let you look at something different. He's turned that into a very good weapon.
Well, it's funny because when I went to spring training last year and I got to sit down with him going into the season, he's always very transparent. His thought is, this is what I'm going to execute. I'm going to tell you, and then we'll just see. But he said to me, my intention is to throw my curveball a lot more in 2021. And then he got off to that rough start. Remember, first 7 starts, it was .669. Kind of had to get back to his basics of dotting down and away and a changeup. And then he had that good run, 16 starts, 2.79. And you're saying, Kyle's back.
Yeah.
And then the last 9, the ERA was close to 8, and he finished with a career worst 477.
Yeah, a couple things. We were talking with David Ross earlier today, and we'll visit with Rossi next inning. He thought Kyle maybe put a little too much pressure on himself after the trades, like trying to kind of be the leader of the pack and just maybe, and then also maybe overthinking, trying to attack hitters' weaknesses, and in so doing, pitching away from his strength a little bit. And I think Kyle has said as much. He said it all, at the end of last year, and comments he made in the offseason and during spring training. I got to get back to doing what I've always done so well, and that's commanding the ball down, both fastball and changeup. He'll still take his shots up from time to time.
Yeah, he's someone that will read bat paths, and even at a lower type velocity, because he can throw it where he wants to, he could take his four-seam fastball and with that more uppercut type swing, throw it above the belt and get outs. But last year didn't execute that as Kane spoils one foul and out of play. So 1-2 on the 35-year-old center fielder Lorenzo Kane. Kyle Hendricks and the Cubs taking on the Brewers. Opening day 2022. Two on, 2 out. Big spot here.
Yeah, 3 punch outs so far, all swinging, all on changeups.
See what he goes with here. There's that curveball that we were talking about. One of the other things, JD, for Kyle last year, more often than not when damage was done, the lefties. Lefties slash 287, 362, 530 against him. I mean, an OPS close to 900. That's not what he's looking for.
Yeah, and he's always been good against lefties because of that changeup. First inning was a big issue. He had a 7.59 first inning ERA last year.
Fouled that off his foot.
He allowed 31 home runs last year, 11 of them in the first inning. So, he had some bad innings, he had some rough outings, and as you mentioned earlier, though, he had a stretch of really good in the middle of the season.
McCutchen led off with a double into the corner. Tellez and Renfroe with strikeouts, and then Baez reaching. He tried to get Kane to reach there. He wouldn't bite, and now it's filled up 3-2. And the first thing I do is I look down on my scorecard and remember the pitcher's not hitting next. It's Jace Peterson. First time we get a chance to look at universal DH for here going forward. Slice the other way.
There's your 3-2 foul ball that happens 79.6% of the time in the first 3-2 offering, and you see Kane behind that fastball because of the Hendricks changeup.
Now wait, what was the number you were saying?
Made it up.
The foul ball up 3-2?
Yeah, for the first pitch once the count runs full is foul ball a high percentage of the time.
Okay.
I don't have a real number.
Okay. So we'll just call that JD cast. You make up a number. 3-2. Got him swinging. Hendricks punches out Tellez, Renfro, and then with 2 aboard, he's able to get Lorenzo Cain.
Second, as we welcome you in here to Wrigley Field. Last year we saw Major League Baseball begin cracking down on the use of foreign substances on pitchers as they threw the baseball, spin rates going up and then decreasing after Major League Baseball struck down on that. And they will continue to do so, but it's going to look a little bit different this year. So you remember last year they were looking at the glove, the belt. It looks a little bit less invasive this year. So basically the umpire is encouraged to look at the pitcher's hand and just use his thumb and feel for the 6 sticky substances and see if he can do anything there. But Major League Baseball also encouraging umpires to just be more vigilant and more unpredictable in their timing and scope of their checks, because they don't want pitchers to get comfortable and see that use of the foreign substances tick up again, guys.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting, JD, is that they have put a uniform rosin bag that all the teams are required to use. So one rosin bag, no difference team to team. And Sut brought one up to the booth. And JD, it's sticky, man. Like if you sit there and, basically wet your fingers and then touch it, and then you touch the fingers, your fingers are sticky.
Yeah, there's 2, right? There's 2 approved bags. One kind of more of a rock, one more of a powder. Yeah.
Happ hits that one in the air down the line towards the corner. That's a foul ball, and then it hops up into the stands. It's an automatic double. It hung up there forever. Yelich couldn't get it, and Happ is in scoring position.
The Brewers had a leadoff double on the top of the inning, could not cash it in. Now the Cubs will get their chance after Ian Happ, who had a really strong finish to the 2021 season, starts things off with a leadoff double here in the second. Double, you say? This double is brought to you by Elgin Hyundai, home of the double warranty, 20 years, 200,000 miles on every new car purchase. Go to ElginHyundai.com. A slicing fly ball, always difficult when you get into that corner and you see Yelich trying to find the wall, measuring his steps, pulls up a little bit short, turns into a 2-base hit for Happ.
So Happ in scoring position, first hit of the day, first of the season for the Cubs. And Frank Schwindel, ball and no strikes, 29 years old, and the opening day starter at first base. He was, by the way, the Royals opening day starter in 2019. Cubs got him off of waivers from Oakland July 18th. He debuted with the Cubs July 30th and just tore it up. Rookie of the month in August and September. Pops that one in the air, center field, shallow. Cain coming on, the call and the catch. And with one down and a man at second, our first chance to watch Seiya Suzuki hit at the big league level.
Right fielder, number 27, Seiya Suzuki.
Thunder from Imagine Dragons. All right, I dig it. Dusted off the plate, wearing number 27 to honor Mike Trout. Got a chance of not getting a run. As Burns deals down and away, ball 1. Last year in Japan, he won the batting title, hitting .317. He had a career high 38 home runs. That's in there for a strike.
Yeah, this place will go nuts if he gets into one here. This is suboptimal in terms of making your big league debut this weekend against this Milwaukee pitching staff. Velocity in the States a couple clicks higher than what it is in Japan, so that will be a big part of the adjustment for Seiya.
Strike on the corner. Yeah, the first 3 guys he faces, and Burns, Woodruff, Peralta, all All-Stars last year.
Benefit of the doubt goes Burns' way. That time slider just off the outside corner.
Suzuki, Cubs pursued him hard, already popular in the clubhouse. He's a guy, he's got a warmth and a smile to him, and engaging with everyone. It's been great. Obviously, his interpreter, Toro Matsushita, has done great work also.
Plus, he made the sun come out.
A bit high that time. That's one of the things as well, JD. Playing in the Japanese Professional League is not an apples-to-apples comparison, but the last 3 years in Japan, he hit 91 homers with more walks than strikeouts. So you like that he's not a huge strikeout guy while hitting for the power. 3-2. He takes the walk. So Suzuki is on base. Seiya is aboard, and here comes Jason Hayward.
At times last year against the Cubs, it looked really easy for Corbin Burns, including the last time we saw him in this ballpark. He punched out 15 Cubs, third with a no-hitter, tied a major league record by striking out 10 in a row. He had double-digit strikeouts in all 3 of his starts against the Cubs last year. The quality of the at-bats by the Cub hitters so far today have been really good against him.
The sun is out, and the Cubs have 2 aboard. Opening day 2022. First game of the big league season. That cutter misses off the inside edge, and now Narvaez is going to go out. And Adames, Peterson, and Wong will join the conversation. Rowdy Tellez is going to sit out the convo, and Craig Counsell looking on.
The MLB Ballpark app will complete your next visit to Wrigley Field. Buy and manage game tickets, unlock offers, access exclusive content, and much more. Download the MLB Ballpark app today.
Do it.
Big Boog, you can unlock offers.
Yes, you can unlock offers. 1 out, 2 aboard. And ball 1 to Hayward. Jason did 214, 8 homers, 30 knocked in last year. Season cut short 10 days into September. Remember that collision? He took a knee to the head from Brandon Crawford, suffered a concussion, and eventually was shut down for the rest of the year. That happened on September the 11th. Good back at it there.
Jason has this one and 1 more year on that 8-year deal he signed, coming over here from St. Louis.
7th straight opening day start as a Cub. 13th overall for Hayward. Burns gets him to swing over the top of that one. 32 years old, and he's out there in center field. The only other time with the Cubs he started in center field was 2017. On opening day.
Burns reaching into his bag of tricks with the changeup.
Tapped softly back to the mound. Burns to second for 1. Back to first, and it pulls Tellez off the base. Hayward is safe, and Happ makes it down to third.
Burns got on this ball in a hurry and got rid of it quickly, but Hayward really busting it hard out of the box. So many times you see a hitter frustrated with the quality of the contact to kind of take a beat or 2 before they get going. And Hayward is not going to let that happen. Busts it hard out of the box. And even if that's an accurate throw, I think he beats the wrap there at first base.
So Hayward at first, Happ is at third. And our first look at Patrick Wisdom. Opening day started. Was Chris Bryant starting the last 6 on opening day. Wisdom set the Cubs rookie record for homers with 28, breaking Bryant's record. He's been working hard on controlling the strike zone, cutting down the strikeouts a bit. On the move, that one is lifted in the air, left field. Yelich to his left, drifting back a bit, makes the catch. And the Cubs get the leadoff double, but can't cash it in. And a 2 here on opening day. There's no score. Which of these was the most memorable Cubs opening day moment? 1971, Billy Williams, the game-winning homer off of Gibson. Tuffy Rhodes, 3 home runs in '94 against the Mets. Gracie with the walk-off single in '96. Corey Patterson, 7 ribbies. Kosuke Fukudome back in 2008. Or Kyle Hendricks shutout against these Brewers here at Wrigley. Go to MarqueeSportsNetwork.com/vote.
3-hit complete game shutout by Hendricks. All 3 hits coming from the 9-hole hitter Orlando Arcia. So if he had a headache, couldn't play that day, Kyle would have had a perfect game. My thinking anyway.
It'll be Peterson, Wong, and Adames. And Hendricks finds the mark. There's that break ball. Jace Peterson starting at third base. Brewers without Luis Urias, who's out probably a couple of weeks. Left quad injury, suffered in their 2nd spring training game. Reaching for a changeup, popped in the air, long run, but that was foul. As Wisdom couldn't get there. There's got to be somebody at home saying they weren't shifting.
Yeah.
Stuck that in his pocket. See the 3 fielders to the right side. Upstairs.
Show me heater, perhaps setting up another changeup.
Versatile guy, can play all over, right, left, first, second, third.
Doubling up in there.
Missed that time. And now it's 3-2. He's efficient early. Now 3 straight 3-ball counts. Facing the leadoff man. Here's the payoff pitch.
Maybe overthrew that one a little bit. It got away from him. So the leadoff walk now. The changeup has been the key here for Hendricks today. He had great command of it, and the Brewer hitters have been baffled. And on occasion, the changeups have been, not perfectly placed like that one. They've been up a little bit in the zone, but the off-speed nature of it, the way he sells it, still catches the Brewer hitters out in front. That's just such a good look. You see the slow motion look at the pronation of the pitching arm, and then the rotation of that changeup.
So leadoff man aboard, and it's Colton Wong. Popped out the first pitch of the game to third base. He takes a strike.
Second time around, we'll see if Kyle changes things up a little bit in terms of his pitch mix. Starts Wong with the curveball. Wong has been good against Kyle in his career, a .356 batting average. Coming into this one here today.
I remember Colton Wong, 2013 to 2020 with the Cardinals, signed a 2-year deal with the Brewers prior to last year, 2 years plus an option. Using that Gold Glove type defense at second. Last year was on the IL 3 times. Just found the first in between Schwindel and Quentin Berry, their first base coach.
And most of the focus on the Brewers and their success last year. This is a club that won 95 games. They've gone to the postseason now 4 years in a row. They're pitching. The big 3 in the rotation, the big 2, the back of the bullpen gets all the attention. But this guy here, Wong, was a big part of it. Went healthy, and he's a complete player. Heck of a defender. He's got some pop. He's got speed.
Just off the inside edge. Contreras held it there an extra second for Ted Barrett.
I can't believe Wilson hasn't tried a back pick yet.
We've got time. Throw over. You see Kyle Hendricks going with that 3/4 sleeve shirt. I was asking him in spring training, so did you keep anything from 2016, like a t-shirt or sleeves or any like real mementos? And he's like, man, I'm not sentimental. And then he just looked at me and he goes, I know what happened. It's like, all right, Carl. And a swing and a miss and a good change up for the first out. He's got that pitch working today.
Yeah, he does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strikeouts, all swinging, and I believe they've all come on the changeup. Circle change grip, shows in the strike zone and just dives down and away. He's got a nice piece of jewelry from the 2016 season.
It's a fair
point. A nice memento.
It's a fair point.
Using that changeup more than a sinker so far here today. And that's the other piece of it too. As a pitcher, sometimes you can overthink it. You have success with that changeup, and you start to think, well, the hitters are going to get wise to it. Now I've got to throw my fastball a little bit more. But until they prove to you as a pitcher that they're going to make the adjustment and start to get on that changeup, and keep throwing it.
No strikes to Adames, struck out swinging his first time. A swing and a miss. Adames, who came over from the Rays, I mean, part of what made him expendable, he was struggling. He was hitting under 200, but also they had Wander Franco. But he came over to the Brewers and just tore it up.
285, 366 on base, 521 slugging percentage as a Brewer. 20 of the 25 home runs he hit last year came in a Brewer uniform.
This is the one that I like as Hendricks finds the mark. So Willy Adames, before he got there, the Brewers were 21 and 23, 8th in the National League in runs per game, 3.66 runs per game. Adames to the rest of the year, they went 74 and 44. They were 3rd in runs per game, 4.89. Now, correlation doesn't mean causation. Still, Adames swings and misses. It's a strikeout. How about a commercial squeeze and I lay out?
Now's the time for a healthy start. So let's recharge and play. And do what we love with who we love. Together, let's live well.
First commercial squeeze layout of the year, JD.
Yeah, that was well executed.
Stuck it. Really stuck the landing there.
You really can't do much better. When it
Nobody,
comes to commercial squeeze layouts.
Nobody lays out like me. Runner goes, pitch outside, throw is a little late as Madrigal takes it in, and Jace Peterson has a stolen base.
Necessarily have a great jump throw on the money, perhaps gets him.
So a ball and no strikes to Yelich, who grounded out to first to end the first. No score. We're in the 3rd. Coming up bottom of the inning, we'll talk to the manager, David Ross. And a good breaking ball. That curve drops in there for a strike.
Yeah, the action on the curveball is really good here today. You saw it in the Adames at bat. He was completely caught in between the fastball and the changeup. He looked to me like he was even late on the changeup. He was trying to wait back so long, and then by the time he pulled the trigger, it was too late. And ultimately, Hendricks got him with the fastball, the first strikeout that has come on something other than a changeup.
And now Yelich steps out. Brewers have made the playoffs 4 straight years. They lost to the Braves in the division series. 3-1. They scored 6 runs. On the ground right at Madrigal. Fouls it up. And Yelich is out. And Hendricks pitches around the leadoff walk. With Rossi, brought to you by University of Chicago Medicine. Tougher, stronger, smarter. Visit uchicago.medicine.org to schedule a video or in-person visit. Just to get the fans into the mood, David Ross, they're showing highlights of Rick Sutcliffe hitting homers on the Jumbotron. It was nice.
Well, I like that intro. I thought tougher, smarter, stronger was, I think you were referring to me, but I guess not. Dang it.
Yeah, well, we'll get there.
Right,
we'll get there.
right.
Hey, let's go macro for a second. The quality of the at-bat so far against Burns. What's your take?
Really good, really good. We've honed him in the zone. He's having a couple command issues, pitched out of a jam there. Looked like Patrick took a really nice swing, just missed under it. Really good at-bats all the way around. I thought Wilson hit a really deep ball to center. Rafi good at-bat. Nick smoked one. We're looking pretty good so far.
Your guy, how much fun is it watching Kyle Hendricks do his thing here this afternoon?
Yeah, it's like low heartbeat, low pulse, one of those things that you got a lot of confidence when he's out there, even when traffic starts to get on the bases. He does things well, controls the game well, knows what he wants to do.
Opening day for the manager, what's it like?
It's a little hectic, a little extra media, making sure you communicated everything. I like to give the guys just one last little thought before the season starts. I talked to him in spring training, talked to him before the game. It's a little crazy. Things will settle into the routine, but you're just trying to make sure everybody's doing their job, and we hadn't missed anything.
Is it a lot different than you as a player on opening day?
Oh yeah, I only had to take care of myself as a player, and I half the time I was the cheerleader opening day. I didn't get to play. That was reserved for the really good players. But we've got some new staff. We've got new guys in some areas for R&D that are making sure their areas covered, and we hadn't missed anything, and what I like, and we adjust on the fly. These guys do a really good job, work really hard, but every once in a while we've got to make some adjustments.
And we adjusted on the fly today. Normally it's Fridays with Rossi, but instead we do Thursdays with Rossi because it's opening day. We appreciate it, pal.
You got it. Good to talk to you guys.
Thanks,
Have a great year.
You too. Manager of the Cubs, David Ross, joining us. And Nico Horner down on strikes. That's the first strikeout for Corbin Burns, who led the majors in strikeout rate last year. He struck out 35.6% of the batters he faced. Ortega takes one out of the zone. He drew a walk his first time.
Yeah, he did. And he did that with about a 5% walk rate, so it was well above or better than league average in that regard, and that's why he ended up winning a Cy Young Award. 28 starts, 167 innings pitched. Some thought that would work against him in the Cy Young balloting. You need 162 innings to qualify to be the ERA leader, which he was. And you talked about it earlier, the fact that they use that 6-day rotation.
Yep.
And I'm curious to see if that becomes
a thing.
More of the norm, yeah.
Well, again, I mentioned last year was the first time in the history of the majors that more starts were made on 5 days rest than on 4 days rest. Can you imagine if I was able to jump in a time machine and go back and tell you while you were playing that would be the case?
Well, I've thought about this, and the knee-jerk reaction is no, you want to pitch more often, but you also wonder, and we hear pitchers say it all the time, you only have your best stuff 30% of the time or whatever it is. Well, if you're pitching every 6th day instead of every 5th day, would you have your best stuff more frequently? So would the quality be more valuable than the quantity?
Right. I think that's what they've decided. I thought you were going to say, you have a time machine? Why haven't I seen it? We're shifting here to swing and a miss. All right, let's check this out. So PitchCom is something that a few days back baseball approved for use during the regular season. Here's Narvaez. He's wearing it on the other side of the card on his wrist and now shielding it. He sends the signal to the pitcher. There's a receptor in his hat that says slider. And then other position players, besides the catcher and the pitcher, 3 other fielders, Wong obviously is one of them, wearing it in their hat so that they know what the pitch is going to be. For the most part, I'm told that it's been shortstop, second base, and then either third baseman or center fielder. But you can see Narvaez wearing it, and it looks like the Brewers are going to be one of the teams. I'm told in the neighborhood, a little more than half the teams are going to wear it a good amount, and a couple of teams are going to look to wear it a lot.
Yeah, and I think over time more and more teams are going to adopt it once they see how it works with other clubs. It's going to pace of play and just rhythm as a pitcher-catcher combination, not having to go through the whole sequence of signs. Everybody's on heightened alert because of potential for sign stealing.
Madrigal with a swing and a miss and a strikeout. And Corbin Burns able to strike out the side. End of 3. 0-0.
The Brewers' use of PitchCom. The Cubs, at least initially, will not be one of the teams using the device right now. They tested it out during spring training, but Wilson Contreras, Yan Gomes not feeling super comfortable with it. David Ross saying he saw some guys get crossed up using it, so initially it is not something that they will implement, but he said over time as they use it more in practice, eventually it is something that they would like to get to, guys.
Yeah, I think you're just going to see players get more and more comfortable with it, but right now it's choice. McCutchen rips one into right field. He's 2 for 2. So Andrew McCutchen is wearing 24 to honor his buddy Ken Griffey Jr. Now it's Rowdy Tellez.
McCutchen's hitting 2,000, Boo. Hendricks has faced 7 hitters so far from the stretch. He's struck out 5 of them. A lot of ground ball and a walk. He's been able to put a little pressure on him, but he has not yielded.
McCutchen back in. We just get a little smile from Kyle?
We did. We did. A little wry smile from the professor. I don't know if there's a statistic. Well, I do know that there is not, but there should be one called bad hacks induced. BHIs. He's gotten a number of BHIs here today.
I feel like we're slowly cobbling together JD Cast, like right from scratch. How far did that go? 505.
He's a leader in the league with the 17.2% BHIs per start.
Ball to strike on Tellez, struck out swinging his first time. One of the things I mentioned is how the Brewers in the playoffs last year lost 3-1. 3 games to 1 to Atlanta. They scored 6 runs and they changed their hitting coaches. JD, 17 teams changed hitting coaches this offseason. That's amazing. 17. Now, Ozzie
job
Timmons
security is not real strong.
It's really tough, man. That's a tough job. Ozzie Timmons, Connor Dawson, their 2 new hitting coaches. The Cubs with Greg Brown and Johnny Washington down, replacing Anthony Iapoce and Chris Valleca. But it's just something you see in the game. But 17 teams made hitting coach changes, he tried to say.
Baffling Tellez with his changeup. Second time he has punched him out. He's throwing a styrofoam cup up there. It just never gets there.
Phantom cam, and that's just such a great looking changeup. He struck out 7 today. And the batter now is Hunter Renfroe. Teams, by the way, today combined are 0 for 12 with men on base.
Kind of what you expect on opening day, right? Frontline starting pitching. Kyle at 52 pitches. think Rossi would feel comfortable. 85, 90 pitches the way he's going here today.
Yeah. It's a Renfroe, dangerous hitter. 31 homers a season ago, 25 or more for the last 5 years. They got him to Boston as Jackie Bradley Jr. went back to the Red Sox. Renfroe's got pop, and he's got a great arm. He played at Mississippi State with the guy that will start tomorrow for the Brewers, Brandon Woodruff. And he went, says Ted Barrett.
That was interesting. Renfroe took that previous changeup like he knew it was coming. And sometimes as a pitcher, you see that, and okay, he's sitting changeup, I'm going to throw him a heater. But Hendricks didn't buy it. He came right back with a changeup and fooled him this time. Renfroe perhaps psyching himself out a little bit, thinking maybe he would get a heater, got it started early, couldn't check up on that changeup cutting away from him.
And that one gets through the left side between Wisdom and Horner. Both diving, and Renfroe with a knock to a board with one out.
Again, the changeup. This time it stays up just a little bit, and Renfroe able to keep the hands back, stay through the zone long enough to get a barrel on that one. Burns struck out the side in the bottom of the third. He seems to have hit his stride. The Brewers have an outstanding back end of the bullpen. Even though it's only the fourth inning, this is a critical situation in this ball game.
You know, by the way, want to wish a happy birthday here on opening day to the owner of Bernie's, Tim Dillman. It's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Tim. Hopefully the Cubs will get you a W here on opening day. There's that good curveball. He's throwing it a lot. And you see the way that usage for Hendricks in that pitch, it's climbed over the last couple of years. In 2020, Hendricks used the curveball 16.7% of the time. It went back down to 11.7 last year just because he was working through so much stuff. But if he has a good year this year, my guess is you're going to see that curveball up there in the 16, 17, 18%.
Yeah, well, if he continues to get the action on it like he has here today, why wouldn't he?
0-2 inside, and he hit him in his back pocket. So Narvaez will take his base, and now the base is loaded, and Lorenzo Cain coming up.
Yeah, just trying to throw one of those two-seamers that starts in and runs back towards the corner. Didn't want to make a mistake and leave it out over the plate. Overcooked it just a little bit. Hits him in the wallet. I think it was Rico Cardi back in the day. Not to go all hawk on you, but Rico Cardi used to have his wallet in his back pocket when he played.
Cain, a strikeout victim his first time. Checked his swing, appealed to first, and he went. That's Lance Barksdale down there.
Cain, a strikeout victim first time up, was in between on the Hendricks changeup. This time the breaking ball for strike one. Cain hits it on the ground a lot. Hendricks would love to get that little too hopper to Nico Horner here. Get out of this mess.
Wisdom, Horner, Madrigal, Schwindel, third to first in the infield. Happ, Hayward, Suzuki, left to right the outfield. And a swing and a miss. He looked like he was in between that time.
Big time. Most of them are. Again, it's the changeup. He's leaned so heavily on that pitch here today.
Up and in that time. Been a four-seamer, not sure, but because he'll run the two-seamer upstairs as well. But you just don't see very many guys throwing a down and away changeup. I mean, there's danger there to the right-handed hitter and getting it to work. Just so good with it. Here's a 2-2. On the ground, softly hit. Schwindel bobbles, and now his only play is to Hendricks, and a run scores as McCutchen crosses, and the Brewers have the lead 1-0. I don't think they would have turned it regardless. Do you?
Yeah, it would have been a difficult double play, and you saw what Schwindel was trying to do. He's trying to be really quick there, and just mishandled the exchange from his glove to his throwing hand. And when you get jammed like that, though, you don't get the best break out of the box. Once there was the mishandle by Schwindel. Yeah, it would have been 2 long throws. It's a very difficult read for a first baseman, and in hindsight, maybe the better play is to try to come home with that ball and try to get the one out there.
So second and third, and it's Jace Peterson. And that one is ripped right field. Suzuki back, and he makes the catch. Peterson put a charge into that. Suzuki got a good jump and able to make the play. Brewers have the lead. We're midway in the fourth on opening day. 1-0. Prevagen, we take an historic look at opening day for the Chicago Cubs, and some of the notes: third straight season opening at home. Wilson Contreras making his 6th opening day start at catcher. Jason Hayward, his 13th consecutive opening day start. That's for his career, 2nd in center. And then Kyle Hendricks, of course, that complete game 3 hitter against the Brewers back in 2020. And some memorable notes right there. It'll be Contreras, then Happ, and then Schwindel. The Brewers have a 1-0 lead as Corbin Burns goes back to work in the bottom of the 4th. He struck out the side in the 3rd. Let's send it down to Taylor.
Wilson Contreras, we know, is a free agent at the end of this year, but he says he's in the best space mentally that he's ever been in his career. He told me it's because he feels like this year is a challenge, but not necessarily because free agency is looming, but he feels like people are doubting him, and he says he loves the challenge of proving people wrong. He says that has motivated him, and it's allowed him to step into this season and really feel good about what's ahead of him.
Well, again, you're talking about a guy who's been an all-star twice. He's hit 20-plus homers 3 times, including last year being 21. Cubs did make the move to sign Yan Gomes to a 2-year deal. There's an interesting piece on MLB.com the other day talking about Yan Gomes going to him and saying, hey, I'm not here to battle you for this job. I am here as the backup, and I want to win. As Contreras swings through that, and Burns has now struck out 4 straight. So 1 away.
Earlier we referenced Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, we did.
Dipping back into the cultural references from bygone era. There was a cartoon back in the day called Popeye, the
Sure.
Sailor Man. You might be familiar with it.
I am.
And when he was struggling, he would eat the spinach, and then things would really turn around for him. And you get the sense that Burns got into a can of spinach here after the second. He's punched out 4 in a row, and it's like
Yeah.
Enough.
Here's Happ now. Ball 1 to Ian. The Brewers with Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta. Is this the best staff in baseball? I mean, look at these guys. We're talking about whiff rate. Only DeGrom and Glasnow better last year.
Yeah, you know, and Adrian Hauser's a good pitcher as well. Eric Lauer probably the number 5 guy. They get this kid Andy Ashby on the way. He's in the bullpen right now, taking some starts for them later on in the season. Again, if I were to handicap which starting rotation would I expect to post the lowest ERA in the National League this year, I would bet on this group.
Yeah.
Dodgers will be good. Braves should be good. Phillies might be better than expected.
Well, he edged Zach Wheeler for National League Cy Young. Just edged him out. I think one of the things that's interesting about Corbin Burns is you go back to as recently as 2019. He put up an 8.82 ERA in 49 innings. 8.82.
Yeah, and he gave up 17 home runs.
Amazing.
In 49 innings pitched that year. He allowed 7 home runs
last year
in 167 innings.
Happ bounces that one up the middle. Peterson throws out Ian Happ. So they had the shift on, and they put the third baseman Jace Peterson to the right of second base. You going 4-3 or 5-3 there?
I went 4-3.
Okay.
Because I just.
Yeah, it's fine.
I picked on the location and not the player.
I'm just asking. Yeah. You know.
I usually do quad. 5 quad 3. 5 quad 4-3.
Okay. Here's Frank Schwindel. Pops one foul. We welcome you to the Budweiser broadcast booth. This Bud's for you, John Shambi and Jim DeShays. That's us. Taylor McGregor with us, and delighted that you could join us opening day 2022, first game of the big league season. And we're here at Wrigley Field. Nice to have baseball back.
Yeah, we get the hum, the buzz in the ballpark all day long here. The energy's been great. Pitching has been outstanding.
Yep. Schwindel 0 for 1, fly to center his first time up. Burns, 2 misses downstairs.
And one of the big storylines this year will be this man right here. Can Frank Schwindel come close to replicating what he did last year? It was unbelievable, the numbers he posted after joining the Cubs.
See those right there, a 962 OPS. And that in 239 plate appearances. So I don't think you're expecting him to slug 613. But I think the thing that was so intriguing was he was able to barrel up so many baseballs, not strike out, and slug. So I don't know, if he gives you 475, you're taking that, right?
I think so, yeah.
Worked hard on his defense to improve that. We've documented that early in his career when he was with the Royals, he caught and played first base and then made the transition just to first. The 2-2. Schwindel fouls it off. He's the first starter at first base on opening day for the Cubs, not named Anthony Rizzo since Jeff Baker in 2012. Softly out to short. Adames charges on the move and throws out Schwindel, and Corbin Burns has set down 7 in a row. We'll move to the 5th, 1-0.
No score, top of the fifth. StatCast powered by Google Cloud will show you some strikeouts for Kyle Hendricks today. He's punched out 7 so far. 6 of them coming on the changeup, one with that elevated two-seam sinking fastball. But the changeup has been the pitch of the day for Kyle. I think 7 matches his season high of last year. I think he got more than 7. So peruse his 2021 game log.
Shift on against Colton Wong. Goes back to the curveball and drops it in for a strike. Colton 0 for 2. Shift there. It goes Madrigal, Horner, and Schwindel. As Horner is at the point of the triangle. Shallow right. That one into right. Suzuki will play it on a bounce. Base hit for Wong.
Chicago baseball is back, and Chicago's Bank is proud to bring you the Wintrust Crosstown Series Sweepstakes. You have a chance to win premium seats and pregame on-field access to Wrigley Field. Go to wintrust.com/crosstown to enter.
4th straight inning. The Brewers have had the leadoff man on base. Willie Adames 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. He has swung 4 times today, and he has missed every time.
Yeah, you talk about a hitter in between. Again, so now we get into that conversation that we had almost every game last year, 3rd time through the order. This is Wong making solid contact. His 3rd look at Kyle.
On the ground towards 3rd, Wisdom, Madrigal, Schwindel. 5-4-3, and there are 2 outs.
Well, pretty well hit, but hitting a good spot for Hendricks. There's been very few balls on the ground here. Typically, a Hendricks game, you're seeing a lot of ground balls, but so many strikeouts here. The ground ball has not really been prominent. How about Adames? Punches out twice, completely baffled by Hendricks. Finally puts it in play, and it turns into 2 outs.
So the shift on for Christian Yelich, who is 0 for 2. And look at whose position where. Patrick Wisdom, who played really good defense at 3rd base last year. Reviewed end of May. He was still 6th among big league 3rd basemen in outs above average. He's got that excellent arm. Pretty athletic. Wizzy back it up a bit. Yeah, there we go. Chapman now over in Toronto.
Real good try. So says Wilson Contreras. Brian Hayes just signed a contract extension.
Gotta like him. Charlie's kid. Really good defender.
Random transaction news brought to you by
You do it all. You know that.
It's like I have no filter. I read that, and so I saw his name on the graphic, and yeah.
You guys should drive around when JD and I are in a car. We just take turns at reading stuff. So it's just like we're just driving by it, and all of a sudden, like, Kyle Hendricks.
On Monday, April 18th, the Cubs are honoring Jackie Robinson's contributions to the game of baseball. Fans who purchase tickets through the special ticket offers page receive a special edition Jackie Robinson Cubs hat pictured there. A portion of the proceeds benefit Chicago Defender Charities. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit Cubs.com/specials.
April 15th will mark the 75th anniversary of the debut of Jackie Robinson, breaking the color barrier. Hayward in and makes the catch on a bullet to center field. McCutchen hit it hard that time. Seiya Suzuki will lead things off when we come back. Cubs down a run.
into the bottom of the 5th with Seiya Suzuki coming to the plate. We've talked a lot about the adjustments that Seiya Suzuki has to make in order to face major league pitching, but something we have yet to talk about is the weather and the adjustments that he needs to make playing in those cool temperatures. It is about 44 degrees here at Wrigley Field, and we know April in Chicago tends to be a lot cooler. Well, Seiya says the coolest he's ever played in temperature-wise when it comes to baseball, 41 degrees Fahrenheit, but that was not on a consistent basis, so he's been prepared to deal with these cold temperatures.
And that time he laces one end to left and his first big league hit. Welcome to the show, Seiya. He'll get that baseball. On his first swing.
We're going to get a standing ovation from a good number of the Cub fans here.
So Suzuki a walk and a single, and now it's Hayward. Cubs down a run. Suzuki in Japan, a guy who's stolen as many as 25 bases at his peak. Know that you're going to see that level, and it kind of tapered off a bit. He might be good for 8 to 10 in that range.
I think a lot just depends on what David Ross wants to do too in terms of being aggressive. Later in spring training, they were trying to do a little running.
Off the glove of Narvaez, and now a throw down to first, and Seiya back in.
Yeah, he had a notion. Took a step or two towards second base, thought better of it, and was able to scramble back before he drifted too far from shore.
Cold day. Squirting out of the glove of Omar Narvaez. Tellez holding on. Suzuki. Hayward waits. And a 1-1. Check swing did not go, says Nestor Seiya. Hayward bounced into a fielder's choice his first time. The Cubs were only 4-15 against the Brewers last year. Milwaukee won 95 games. Line drive, slicing out into left center, base hit. Suzuki around second, on his way to third, and they're at the corners with nobody out after the base hit from Jay-Hay.
Well, Cubs making some noise here in the home 5th. There's the first big league hit for Seiya Suzuki. Breaking ball and stayed up a little bit. But he keeps the hands back and able to deliver that solid line drive single. Follows up with a single of his own into the gap, and the Cubs set up shop first and third. Here's Hayward. Changeup, nose right on it.
Suzuki at third, Hayward at first. And Patrick Wisdom fly to left his first time. 1-0 Milwaukee. And Patrick lifts that one in the air out towards left center. Kane doesn't have a good arm. Makes the catch. Suzuki will tag. He will score. Wisdom a sacrifice fly, and we're tied at 1. So Seiya Suzuki with his first major league hit and his first big league run. Hugs.
So important for Wisdom there to put that ball in play. A guy who really struggled with the strikeouts last year. Over 40% of his plate appearances ended in a strikeout.
That's a good point.
The man on third base there, you're looking to get the ball in the air.
Cubs have only struck out 4 times in this game against the guy that led the majors in strikeout rate. And the Cubs as a team had the highest strikeout rate in the bigs. I mentioned at the outset, the Cubs actually set the major league record for most strikeouts in the season. It feels like setting that every single year. Just the trend of how much swing and miss and strikeouts. I'd have to think the reason is the sticky stuff crackdown. But last year was the first year that the strikeout rate declined from the prior year.
Since
04 to 05. It had gone up every year since 05. That's drilled out towards left center field. Pretty well struck here. Nico Horner, line drive homer into the bleachers. Cubs lead. It's 3-1.
Nico Horner, we've talked a lot about him in spring training. Bigger and stronger since he first came to the big leagues. I don't think of him hitting the ball over the wall. Did not hit a home run last year.
His first home run since 2019.
An ambush from the bottom of the batting order. A pair of singles, and now this long ball from Nico Horner. This home run replay is brought to you by Toyota, official vehicle of the Chicago Cubs. Breaking pitch up above the knees. Line drive from Horner. Huge swing in the bat. How about that? Oh my goodness.
That's the face of opening day. I can't believe it. It's opening day.
Nico Horner was all smiles when I was talking to him earlier today. It's his first opening day. I was asking him about the weather and if he was concerned at all. He said, concerned? The wind's blowing out. This is the best type of weather that you can get at Wrigley.
That's a good point. Kid that grew up in the Bay Area, a big Oakland A's fan, Nico Horner. He knows about playing at some chilly-ish temperatures, but yeah, the wind's blowing out, then the hitters are happy.
Baseball's a weird game, isn't it? In an amazing way. We talked about Burns allowing just 7 home runs all last year. Nico hadn't hit one in a couple seasons. Comes up with a 3-run blast. Number 4 in his career, first since 19.
So Horner goes yard. Ortega 0 for 1, a walk and a strikeout. 3-1 Cubs. As the Cubs face the reigning Cy Young Award winner in the year. Renfroe pulls it down. Ortega retired.
Who powers Chicago? We do. We consistently help create better construction, better careers, better communities. Powering Chicago, IBEW Local 134, NECA, Chicago.
So 2 down. Burns up to 77 pitches. Big Madrigal 0 for 2. He's flied out and he is struck out. Activity in both bullpens Burns is ready to throw his 80th pitch, and Hendricks looks on. Lefty Daniel Norris up in the Chicago pen. Aaron Ashby up for Milwaukee. The 2-0. And now 3-0.
Yeah, lefty righty lefty duo up for the Brewers in the top of the 6th. Quality of contact for the Brewers against Hendricks the last couple innings has been pretty good. So see what Rossi decides to do.
That's through there for a strike. Madrigal, you go back the last 2 years, again, only 324 plate appearances, but the lowest strikeout rate in the big leagues if you put the minimum at his amount of plate appearances. Great contact guy. And he can hit. I mean, just that simple. The first round pick of the White Sox out of Oregon State. And he draws the 2-out walk. Getting extended for Wilson Contreras. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, at a time when strikeouts, as you mentioned, are going up and up and up, Madrigal presents a little different skill set than most.
Up on the infield. Wong having some trouble, and Wong makes the play. Wow. Now the Gold Glover lost it, was fighting the wind, and was able to haul it in. But the Cubs do the damage. Seiya, first major league hit, a souvenir. Jay Hay a single, a sac fly, and then Nico Warner, a rocket to left. We head to the 6th, and the Cubs lead it.
SportsNetwork.com for the latest Cubs news and in-depth feature stories presented by Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent. Visit jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
It's opening day here at Wrigley. It's opening day, and this is the way I feel. Let's go Cubs. And yeah, I feel like Eddie Vedder jumping on the stage with the light. How great is that picture? Eddie Vedder, World Champ. Big Cubs fan.
That would make a good poster.
And that's a rock star.
Yeah.
Picture.
Star
right
move.
There. Yeah. Foul back off the bat of Tellez. Kyle Hendricks looked pretty good here today. I'd like to retire the leadoff guy, as they have gotten the leadoff man on base each of the last 4 innings, but the Brewers have scored only 1 run. Daniel Norris, the lefty, is up. The 1-1. And that's lined out into center field in a base hit. A changeup, and he just got enough of it.
Again, 3rd time through, they've seen him a lot. Tellez punched out the first 2 times, was completely baffled by that change up. Now they're starting to time him up a little better. Been some solidly struck balls by the Brewers the last couple innings. This is a good pitch, but this is just a guy who's seen enough of those change ups, kind of, you know, recognizes it a little better 3rd time around than he did earlier in the ball game. Left-handed hitter Narvaez on deck. This might be it for Kyle.
First one to Renfroe, and that's a strike.
The strategy for David Ross here in the early going is trying to get innings out of Hendricks and Stroman, because he's not sure what he's going to get out of the rest of the rotation, and that's why he has Hendricks and Stroman separated in the rotation to start the season here. Justin Steele will work tomorrow. He didn't want his 2 quote-unquote innings eaters back-to-back in the rotation. I think he's also unsure, you know, how hard he can push his bullpen guys this early in the year. So many of the veteran guys that the Cubs acquired during spring training have not, you know, didn't get a lot of work in camp, didn't pitch a lot of innings. So he's going to be careful how he uses those guys.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that nobody in the bullpen went back to back.
Right. So
not once in spring training. So I mean, in terms of a shortened spring, and Rossi was saying in spring training, normally the first time a guy goes back to back as a reliever, he then gets 3 days off. So I mean, it's the same for every team, right? That one in the air, broken bat. Madrigal grabs it. Renfroe retired, and I think David Ross is going to get him. And Kyle's going to get a really nice hand. Good work here today. The pitch count at 83. And the point to the bullpen. David Ross going to take the baseball. And Kyle is going to get a good hand. A nice opening day start for Kyle Hendricks as the fans rise to their feet. Baseball on Marquee Sports Network is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealer. Find the dealer nearest you at buyhyundai.com. By Advocate Healthcare. Let's live well and make the most of every moment, game day, and every day. By Wintrust, proud legacy partner of the Chicago Cubs and exclusive home of Cubs checking. And by Guaranteed Rate. Back at Wrigley, the band sounded great. Cubs lead at 3-1, top 6. Pitching change, Boog, JD, and Taylor. Budweiser pitching change, it's Daniel Norris.
Veteran left-hander last year, split time between Detroit and Milwaukee. 56 times and posted a 6.16 ERA. He's done a bunch of starting in his career.
Craig Counsell's going to counter the move and bring up Tyrone Taylor to pinch hit for the catcher Omar Narvaez. A nice stop of that one in the dirt.
But this is a function of the DH being in the National League now, right? Normally in this situation, he probably would have used Caratini, a switch hitter, but his backup catcher, as opposed to Taylor in this situation. You're not as worried about preserving your bench guys when you have a DH.
On the ground, out to short, corner, Madrigal, Swindell, and they turn another. Norris comes in and gets the twin killing, and the Cubs have a 3-1 lead midway in the 6th.
Napoli taking over as the first base coach this season after spending the previous 2 as a quality assurance coach. David Ross says this is a promotion for him, and Napoli excited about the opportunity, coming to the ballpark knowing exactly what he needs to work on every single day. He's really going to hone in on the base running. Talking to him, he wants to be more aggressive on the base pass, but he kept saying the word smart. He wants to be smart when running the bases. So all during spring training, they really focused on the details, how to get jumps, how to round bases, and of course, the hope is that those little things add up for the course of the season, guys.
You know, it's funny, you think of Mike Napoli and a guy who was a catcher, a first baseman, and it may not come to mind, but Mike Napoli is a good base runner. And it's part of why he's handling those duties and is over there at first. Craig Driver, who was the first base coach the last couple of years, is now obviously still handling the catching, but more involved in the game planning. So Mike Napoli over there at first base, and our first and third base coaches have matching red shoes, which I'm here for. Aaron Ashby. Hat fouls one off.
They called each other this morning. Hey, make sure you bring your red shoes.
Solid. Willie's got him, and then there's Knapp. Knapp lays off that one from Aaron Ashby. I think they probably have
coordinated.
Yeah,
talked about it.
We should start to. You know, we haven't started yet. We're going to start our new JD and Boog Instagram account. You know what I'm thinking is maybe we'll get like Run DMC tracksuits and we'll pose. Sorry, it's going to be JD, Boog, and T-Mac. This guy.
I'm thinking like a McDonald's tracksuit.
Base hit left field. And how about Happ 2 out of 3? And so the season off to a good start opening day for Ian Happ. Last 45 last year, 14 homers and an OPS over 1,000.
Double from the left side, now batting right-handed. His weaker side, he delivers a solid single off Aaron Ashby. We saw Ashby make his big league debut last year in the start in Milwaukee. He didn't make it out of the first inning, but the ceiling is really high for this kid. Turbo sinker, nasty slider, a bunch of punch outs. The ball in play is going to normally be on the ground. 97 for you.
Can I just be a dork for a second?
Yes.
So I know I like doing this job, and I love baseball.
I think both those things come through.
So somebody just balled up a napkin and hit me with it, and it was Andre Dawson.
Oh,
and like that still kind of thrills me.
You gonna save it?
It's pretty awesome.
Hey Hawk, will you sign my crumpled up napkin?
Ow! Taylor McGregor just took it away. Yeah. Balls, no strikes. Ashby, there we are. T-Mac said, I have to be front and center, and so there she is.
I feel like we're playing match game.
Yeah, we are.
Charles Nelson Riley. Oh, no.
6-4-3. Schwindel hits into the double play. Just when you make the Charles Nelson Riley reference, hit into a double play. Yeah. T-Mac, what do you have?
I just want to set the record straight. The reason I'm sitting in the front row is because it's much colder down here. So I'm dealing with the brunt of the cold, while you two back there are nice and snuggly, all warm. So this is not about center of attention. This is taking one for the team.
This is about prima donnas here.
I don't have a good comeback for that. Normally I have a nice, wittier, pithy comeback. I don't. Yeah. It's just, here we are up here. Hashtag truth. Everything she just said.
But I think we did tell Taylor and Paula.
That's
they can roam around back here.
Yeah.
Chairs up behind us.
Look at we have all this space. We're thinking about putting some pictures up back here, and then maybe we could do like a green screen and like do like a weather report. Low pressure system. Yeah, we could do bobbleheads.
Yeah.
What else we could put? You ever seen that picture? I have that picture of Sutcliffe in a cowboy hat. It looks like a country music album cover.
Yep.
Like put that back there.
Why don't we just get a mechanical bull and Sut can come up and ride?
Yeah. Seiya Suzuki. A walk and a single. Facing Aaron Ashby. And a pitch. Upstairs.
Take.
He's got a really good idea of the strike zone. And the Cubs signed him to that 5-year, $85 million deal. This is where he wanted to be. 3-2.
Quick hands. And that's not a real long swing. There's been a lot of talk, and we've talked about it. The adjustment he's going to have to make because there's more velocity over here. But the skill set says yes, that this is a transition he's going to be able to make.
Les giving it a look, long run.
Suzuki has to be near the top of the leaderboard in terms of odds on winning a National League Rookie of the Year. When you look at his resume coming from Japan.
He was a 5-time All-Star. They also give out what's called the All-9. So he's 6 times he was an All-9 winner. 5 times he won what they call the Golden Glove, top defender at his position. And outside and ball 4. One of the interesting things about recruiting Seiya Suzuki, they basically came to an agreement on March 14th into the morning of the 15th. But even though Seiya had agreed to the terms, there was one thing before he was going to sign. He wanted to come to Chicago. So he went from Los Angeles to Chicago and got his own personal inside look at the field. It was 60-something degrees. So he's been in the clubhouse already. He checked it out. Tuesday and Wednesday wanted to see the city, and then eventually signed the contract on the Thursday, the press conference on the Friday, and that was when he dropped the Mike Trout, I love you. Experience it has to be for him. You know, part of how he got, I guess, connected to looking at Mike Trout was for former Major Leaguer Hiroki Kuroda, who pitched for the Dodgers and the Yankees. Well, he went back to Japan when his time with the Yankees finished and finished up with Hiroshima and was teammates with Suzuki. And he said, you need to start watching this guy. This is the guy who is the stud stateside. Oh, look out! It drops! Oh, my goodness! It was like all of a sudden somebody yelled scatter, and Adames, Wong, and Tellez all went opposite directions. Now they're at the corners.
That's going to go as a base hit for Jason Hayward. Obviously, this would go into the category of a team error. Tellez really wanted no part of it. Wong got caught assuming that Tellez was going to go get that ball. Wong, being the premier defender that he is, should have just come in and taken charge of that play.
Cubs beat the Pirates on a ball basically just like that. I think it was Wilmer Defoe that didn't make the play. Suzuki going over. Willie Harris talking with Toi Matsushita, Suzuki's translator. Should he have scored there? From first with 2 outs?
I think he was running. I thought he was running hard. No, I think he was okay.
Yeah,
I think the conversation Willie Green was having wasn't so much what he should have done on that play, but what to do in this situation.
Okay.
Ball in the dirt or favored. If he gets 2 strikes on Wisdom, they may run Hayward.
Yep. Yeah. So the answer to my question is no. He should not.
I mean, he doesn't need to be looking back over his shoulder. He can really kind of guide him around the bases, but he wasn't going to score on that ball.
Patrick Wisdom knocked in the Cubs' first run of the game with a sac fly. Pulls off that one. Ball strike the count. Bottom of the 6th, Cubs lead 3-1. Nico Horner with a 2-run homer. That's the difference maker so far. Boog Sciambi, Jim DeShays, Taylor McGregor, delighted you could join us. Finds the mark.
Really balanced look for Craig Counsell and his bullpen. He's got 4 lefties, 6 right-handers, 7 right-handers out there right now. Remember, we're playing with 28-man rosters up until May 2nd. extra arms available in big league bullpens basically for the first month of the season.
Our counsel talking with Chris Hook, their pitching coach, but he's had a really good bullpen the last few years, and he manipulates it quite well. This guy's got phenomenal stuff. Six and just misses. I mean, two of their lefties are Ashby and Hader. They're not your ordinary lefty, right?
No, they're not crafty. I mean, this kid's got great movement, but it's all about power and stuff.
Time call. Cubs and Brewers' first big league game of the year. Wisdom swings over top of that one and a strikeout. And the Cubs not able to cash in. Let me hear you. Cubs leading. It's 3-1. End of 6. Well, Nico Hoerner's got the big hit, a 2-run homer, and the Cubs lead it 3-1. Daniel Norris back to work and delivers inside. Ball one to Lorenzo Cain. Norris, who last year pitched for both the Tigers and the Brewers. With Milwaukee, he struggled. 18 appearances, .664 the ERA, but did a lot of work the offseason. One of the things he worked on was a slider, and one of the things that has been gaining attention is that slider you're hearing about the Yankees and Dodgers use, a couple other teams, the sweeper. And Daniel Moscos, who was with the Yankees, has helped some guys out with that. Roberts, Norris. I mean, the slider is just, it's the pitch that has been, I think, the last 4 or 5 years, just the dominant pitch in the league. The slider and the four-seam fastball, right? I mean, guys just get
right there.
So much swing and miss with the slider.
Yeah, and the technology now with the cameras, the slow-mo cameras, and they can do a lot of work at the pitch lab, just reading the break on the ball. I mean, it's stuff that pitchers always did on their side work. They play around with different grips, but now there's a way to quantify it, and I think there's a lot more in terms of committing to trying a new grip, not just 5 or 6 pitches in a side session.
Yep. Well, one of the things that I mentioned that I thought was interesting, Craig Breslow telling me that when the Cubs get a player into the pitch lab, whether it's a free agent or a guy that they've drafted high, they'll have him throw pitches to get data on stuff that he doesn't throw. Cain rips that one out into left center field. And Cain in with a leadoff double. So if a guy is fastball, curveball, changeup, they'll say throw some sliders. Well, I don't have a slider. We'll try and throw some sliders just so that they have some data, and maybe at some point we'll try and throw a slider.
Yeah, or a pitching coach will recognize something. You know what? If you just were to position your hand a little bit differently, try to maybe a little higher arm slot, you can get that ball to do something for you that you might really like.
Here's Mike Brasso. Brasso will pinch hit for Jace Peterson.
course. Not overpowering. Fastball velocity probably a little bit below average, but there's some funk. He's got quick short arm action there.
Chris Martin in the bullpen as Contreras keeps that in front. It's Chris Martin. Watchful eye of Chris Young. It's high top dunk. See why? See it. Traded for Brasso in November. That one bounced foul.
Good pitch there. The 2-0 breaking ball to get back in the count. Obviously, you get to this stage of the game, every run is really precious, but you got to be careful. You don't want to get into a trap of pitching away from contact because you're so worried about that guy out there at second base, and set the Brewers up for a big inning.
Brasso, Game 5 of the Division Series 2020. Homer against the wall was Chapman. Cubs lead it by a couple. We're in the 7th. The late stages for the Cubs bullpen. You know, they've got Gibbons and Robertson down there and Rowan Wick. Guys are going to get chances in leveraged spots, right?
Yeah, and I think Rossi, I don't think he's going to commit to any one guy as his closer right now. He's going to look at what pocket of hitters are due up and how a certain pitcher's stuff plays against that group of hitters. He'll lean on the two guys you just mentioned, Robertson and Gibbons, plenty of experience.
Remember, for a stretch last year, I mean, the Cubs were in first place, tied with the Brewers after that no-hitter in L.A. June 24th. But a big part of the reason was the bullpen. I mean, that bullpen trio of Tepera, Chafin, and Kimbrel were sensational. I mean, to such a degree, when leading after 8 last year, and they lost 91 games, but they were 58-0 when leading after 8 last season. So the bullpen did really good work. Different group of guys.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a couple weeks. Joe Madden used to argue that it took a month to figure out your bullpen, how you were going to deploy guys. If you looked at the Cubs roster a couple weeks before spring training, you saw all of these pitchers who really had very little big league time. So that's why they were so aggressive in the free agent market, bringing in these veterans.
Wong a single his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Side with 6 hits.
He's been pinching in at third base in case Wong contemplating a little push bunt.
Adames in the on deck circle. 2 aboard, nobody out. And a 1-1. And that finds the mark. 1-2.
On the edge. Now can he finish him off? Bit of a hanger.
Wong last year with 14 home runs showed a little bit more in the slug department. Lifetime on base percentage .333. A little bit of context. Last year the league average was .317. So Kane at second, Brasso at first. Kane still runs pretty well. On the ground to first, Schwindel. They get 1 there. Norris safe at first. Daniel did well to grab that, and sure, he looks like he's limping a little bit.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward over there first base, but a really nice play by Norris. We've seen pitchers box this play a lot. It's not an easy play. You're running over to cover the bag, and you've got to position yourself to get that return throw.
And David Ross is coming out with Chris Martin warming up in the pen, and I'm not sure if Norris is okay. That's one of the things, but also they had the righty ready for Adames. And so a pitching change here at Wrigley. The Cubs leading it by a couple.
Big, tall, lanky right-hander, 46 games with the Atlantas last year and a 3.95 ERA. Take note of that number at the bottom, ground ball rate of 50%. And the guy throughout his career has been adept at getting that ground ball, and that would work nicely right here as the Brewers are making some noise. Runners on first and third and just one out.
So Chris Martin, who pitched last year with the world champion Atlanta Braves, native of Arlington, Texas, and spent some time in Japan in 16 and 17. His teammates over there with Shohei Ohtani. Face says Suzuki. So here's Adames now with runners at the corners. And that's in for a strike. Martin a season ago, a 3.95 ERA with Atlanta. A tough day so far for Adames. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts, and he's grounded into a double play. Dangerous hitter.
Get a little action in on the hands.
And that one fair inside the bag down the third baseline. Kane in to score as Happ picks it up. On his way to third is Wong, and Adames into second. And that's an RBI double. The Brewers are within one.
Martin looking for that double play ball, trying to run a two-seamer in on his hands. It's a good idea. Adames, kind of savvy, knew what was coming, or was ready for it anyway. Was able to get the hands pulled in, hit it on the ground, but sharply right down the third base line. His fortunes have turned around after a tough start. Punch out, ground ball, double play, followed by RBI double.
And now it's Yelich 0 for 2 with a walk. Second and third, a big spot right here.
First 2 years in a Brewer uniform, Yelich was lights out. This would have been an automatic intentional walk situation, but it's really struggled the last couple of seasons, especially in the power department. 9 home runs last year, slugging percentage way down. He still take his walks.
In the air, left field, shallow, coming out. Ian makes the catch. Wong tags, throw to the plate, and Wong is in to score, and we're tied. So a sac fly makes it a 3-3 game as Adames stays put at second.
Slide ball just backed up, a little bit of a cement mixer. Yelich doesn't do a lot with it, but he does enough with it. Happ had elbow surgery in the offseason, slowed in spring training, did not play the outfield, not much in the outfield as he rehabbed that elbow. Not able to get off a great throw.
McCutchen fouls that one off, and nothing at one on McCutchen, who's got a double, a single, a run scored, and then lined out to center. on a bullet that was about 105 miles an hour in terms of exit velo.
Really good against the Cubs in his long career. Good numbers here at Wrigley.
Former MVP back in 2013. He'll be their DH most of the time. Remember, it was what, that first year in Philadelphia, he suffered the ACL tear. And it took him a while to come back from that.
Yeah, he said that his legs just are not consistently underneath him every day. 300 batting average, 400 on base, 500 slug in his career against the Cubs.
1-1. He had that stretch where he was definitely considered one of the better players in baseball. I mean, he was a top 3 MVP guy, 12, 13, and 14. Part of those 3 Pirate teams that made the playoffs. And it's second, 2 outs. Just missing. Chris Martin 95 with that last fastball. And a 3-1. Bounced foul. JD, I mentioned Chris Martin.
Yeah.
Fastball at 95. So in 2008, 19% of relievers' fastballs were 95 or better. By last year, it was 35%. I mean, so more than a third of the fastballs, 95 and above, out of the bullpen. And it's a pretty big jump in what, 13 years.
More than a handful of guys throwing 99, 100 with regularity.
I know. Wisdom coming in. Nice play. Wisdom handles the chance, but the Brewers pick up 2. Time now. It's our 7th inning stretch. It is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. And here are the Hall of Famers.
Cubs Hall of Famers.
Game summary brought to you by Wintrust. We got a good one here today. Burns, good. McCutcheon, solid. Hendricks, outstanding. Horner, first home run since 2019. A couple of hits. It's a good day for the H's. Horner, Happ, and Hayward all producing offensively. Brewers have managed to come back and tie this ball game, so this one will be decided late. Out in front of that off-speed pitch from Aaron Ashby. Out there for his second inning of work in support of Corbin Burns, who went 5, allowed 3 runs on 4 hits.
JD, how about some StatCast?
How about a little StatCast? Let's focus in on Nico Horner's home run, the 2-run shot. Back in the 5th. The line drive variety didn't get all that high, but it got high enough, far enough, 374 feet. So you had Nico Horner, and he's going to hit the first home run for the Cubs in 2022. You're a winner.
Mike Brasso, by the way, stays in the game defensively at third. See the numbers for Nico last year. There's Brasso. Horner only had 170 plate appearances, 3 trips to the injured list, forearm, hamstring, and oblique. But in 170 plate appearances, the on base was 382. And they know that he's going to play solid defense. So again, a former first-round pick out of Stanford in 2018. It starts with they want him to stay on the field. On the ground, Wong gobbles it up. throws him out. No Fans Baseball is back now through April 11th. Customers can score free MLB TV at T-Mobile.com/MLB. So that's through April 11th. That's my birthday.
April 11th is? Oh my goodness. I better get shopping.
Let's go. T-Mac just said that crumpled up napkin that you brought me, that was my birthday present. And here is Clint Frazier.
Frazier had a very nice spring. Former first-round draft pick, number 5 overall, drafted by the Guardians a few years back. Really been able to establish himself in the big leagues. So injuries, including concussion, have been a big part of his story. But he's a talented guy. He's got tremendous bat speed. And those change of scenery guys could really flourish in a Cub uniform.
Ashby back to work. And that one is ripped to the left field. Base hit for Frazier. Yelich over to pick it up. And Clint is into second. And the go-ahead run is into scoring position. Welcome to the Cubs, Clint Frazier.
Never easy coming off the bench on a cold day, but Frazier delivers a one-out double. Setting the table for Madrigal.
Madrigal 0 for 2. There's a strike. Let's take a peek. And it did not. Missed in the Hollywood Squares. Off the outside edge. JD, it's game 1.
Yes, it is.
I think that if
161 more to go.
Thank you. More math with JD coming up in the 9th. I will say that if we were to put out a guy you'd want up in a spot to get a single in the late stages,
yep,
this might be your fella.
Yeah, well, we've talked about Nico Horner in that regard too. Guys who compete well against stuff. Because that's what you see in tight games late. And you talked about all the relievers that are averaging better than 95 miles per hour. Madrigal has that skill set. He's not going to hit the ball over the wall very often, but he's going to compete against all kinds of pitching, but he can handle velocity, put it in play. When you need a single, he's your guy.
It's a piece there. Madrigal stays alive.
Throughout spring training, he made a lot of solid contact. Like every time you looked up, he was standing on second base. So he's just got to make sure he gets a good secondary out there. Line drive to the outfield. You got to make sure you can score.
Back up the middle. Wong backhands. There's 2 down. Frazier down to third.
Cub fans, head over to ivyshop.com for your official Cubs merchandise, apparel, and collectibles. Visit us in store at the Gallagher Way or online to round out your spring wardrobe today. Yeah, that's right. I said spring.
Oh. Andy Ashby's nephew, Aaron, out of the game. And gets the rare smile from Craig Counsell. Pitching change here at Wrigley. Let's take a peek at our upcoming schedule, and it's brought to you by Sloan. Back at it tomorrow At 1:20 here on Marquee Sports Network, Justin Steele, Brandon Woodruff. Saturday, it'll be Stroman and Peralta. Wrap it up on Sunday. Off day Monday, and then the first road trip of the year, Pittsburgh and Denver. And the new pitcher will be Jake Cousins. And again, did pretty good work out of their pen last year. A guy who was originally drafted by the Nationals out of the University of Pennsylvania and then was let go, and the Brewers got him in 2019 out of Indy Ball.
A Chicago area player. He was born in Park Ridge, went to Wheaton Academy.
Man at third, 2 down. And 2 balls and no strikes to Wilson Contreras. Cubs trying to take the lead right back here in the bottom of the 7th. Opening day 2022. With some rainouts, this is the first game of the big league schedule. It's in there for a strike.
Talk about that sweeper, little lower arm slot, sweeping slider, catches the outside corner. Ian Happ on deck. It will be Ian Happ from the left side. Remember, folks, there's that rule that was implemented last year, the 3-batter minimum. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years
run
ago.
together. It was 2 years ago.
And Contreras gets hit. Fans don't like it. Wilson doesn't like it. Ted Barrett.
There's a history with Wilson Contreras and the Brewers, and clearly a game situation. There's no intent there from Cousins. From the heat of battle, when you've been hit a lot by the opposing club, you know, it's going to get your attention.
This is last year.
Contreras
early.
Talking about it. Victor saying, we're not trying to hit you there, and Wilson's probably saying, "Well, try harder," because I'm tired of getting whacked by you guys. Williams got him on the head. Berger whacked him. That's 2. That's twice. No more, please.
And then eventually, that big homer off a Suter, that ended up being the difference in the game. Yeah, I think it is one of these things, right, that happens where we get into this sort of argument. Chris Hook out there, we're not trying to hit you. You said it. Try harder. Because it's not. I still think that the thing that gets overlooked, everybody's competing. It hurts, and so you get angry. And so you may not behave rationally. He's not getting hit and immediately thinking, really, it's intent.
Yeah, and again, in the heat of battle, sometimes you're exactly right. You don't react rationally.
No. It's just bad.
And
it hurts.
And Cousins, from his point of view, Contreras, everybody pitches Contreras in.
Yes.
He middle away, he covers well. We talked a lot about his ability to drive the ball to right center. So they're going to try to throw something lively in on his hands. And the mistake, you'd rather miss in than out over the plate. And that's a skill too. Some guys are very comfortable and can pitch inside effectively. Some guys, they just turn it loose in there. They just don't feel comfortable pitching in. And that goes back to the catcher, asking your pitcher to do something that he might not be comfortable doing.
Frazier at third. He's a go-ahead run. Contreras at first. Tied at 3, bottom 7. Here's the other thing, just to finish it off as a theme. Wilson Contreras, in his big league career, has been hit 58 times. 14 of them have been by the Brewers. I mean, that's in the neighborhood of 25%.
Good math. More math, yeah. That's a higher level than 162 minus 1
That's
equals
right.
161.
We are your mathletes. Here comes the crowd. Frazier at third, Happ waits. 3-1. Oh, that's a strike.
One of the reasons for the turnaround for Ian Happ last year was just more aggressive, attacking early in counts. He's always been a guy who's been willing to accept his walks, work a deep count. Last year, after really struggling, he got a little more aggressive, and it really paid off.
Opening day, tied at 3, bottom 7. In the air, drilled towards center. Kane turns, and it's off the top of the wall. Frazier in to score. Contreras coming home. Ian Happ comes through. And the Cubs have a 5-3 lead. Have a day, Ian Happ. Didn't miss getting out by much.
No, the way Kane reacted in center field, I thought he thought it was going to fly out of here. That really puts a charge in this one. His second double, third hit of the day.
A bolt to center field.
Contemplating in our keys to the game how David Ross would handle the end of the ball game if he had a lead. We're about to find out.
Brewers have Hobie Milner up. Dell 0 for 3, flying to center, grounded to short, grounded into a double play. Popped in the air, right center. Renfroe is there to make the play. And that is the inning. But Frazier with the pinch hit double. Contreras hit by the pitch. And they both come home courtesy of Ian Happ. 5-3 onto the 8th. Wrigley and the Cubs lead at 5-3 on opening day. Time now for our social scene, and it's presented by Leinenkugels. Oh, so happy. Cubs, it's happening. Go Cubs, go. Too many pucks. All right. He had half 3 hits, knocked in a couple here in the 8th, and it'll be Rowan Wick.
Injuries really slowed him down last year. Appeared in just 22 ball games, 23 innings, and a 4.30 ERA for the big right-hander. Give you a little 95-mile-an-hour cheese. Likes to elevate. Good sharp curve ball.
Hendricks started this one 5 1/3. He struck out 7. What'd you think of him?
I thought he was great. I thought the changeup was obviously his best weapon today, but the curveball was good. He threw his fastball a whole lot. That was my sense watching it.
It's sliced out towards left center, and Tellez has another hit. Fans, there is more great Cubs programming coming up tonight. Don't miss a new episode of Cubs Countdown presented by DraftKings as we highlight the most memorable renditions of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Stick around after Cubs postgame live to see who made the list. How many times have you done Take Me Out to the Ball Game?
Me?
You?
1.5. I think.
What do you mean 1.5?
Maybe 2.
I did it
I thought the
last
Hall of
year.
Famers did a nice job.
Yeah, I did it last year and I stunk. I mean, just terrible.
Yeah, I feel somewhat responsible for that because I was one of the voices saying, just go slow.
Go slow.
Yeah. And you did. You went slow.
It's like when you talk about a train, right? And you're talking about the local and the express. You want to just do the express, like just get it over with. And I was slow and thanks to you.
Put your stamp on it. You can't, bad works though, right? It's the spirit of the thing. You got the words. You got the words right. That's the important thing.
Bad works. Welcome to the Budweiser broadcast booth. This Bud's for you.
You didn't call it, Wrigley Arena or anything like that.
No, that's a good point. Welcome to Wrigley Arena. Maybe next time I'll have a Budweiser.
First time?
Oh, I was going to say the worst time for me to do. Just loosen me up a little bit. It wouldn't be the first time either.
Well, I think the key is to just appeal to the fans to ask them to sing. You just get them going and then swing.
Yeah, and then you just swing the microphone out. Yeah. Renfroe gets a piece. Hunter Renfroe with a single sandwich between a strikeout and a pop out. Cubs lead 5-3 here in the 8th.
31 home runs last year for Renfroe with the Red Sox. They will cut down the strikeout rate from when he first came into the league. This is under control now. Premier defender, big arm. We've talked about that. It would be hard for the Brewers to pitch as well as they did last year.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't be stunned if they did. I mean, the skill set is there. They've got a lot of weapons, but it would be hard to duplicate that. So I imagine Craig Counsell is thinking, I got to get a little more out of my offense. Handicapping this division, you kind of, at least I do it, but put the Brewers kind of at the top of the list. They won 95 games last year. They weren't a great offensive club.
Towards right center, Hayward and Suzuki. Jason makes the catch. Suzuki peeled off a little late that time.
This ball was slicing away from Hayward a little bit, but as a center fielder, he's the captain out there, and you see Suzuki looking for him and ultimately yielding.
You can see Seiya was calling it again. I think Jay was as well. Sometimes the noise, and obviously they haven't played together a ton. Caratini now. Like, I have one for you. So I would maintain this. I think you're right in terms of it'll be hard for them to pitch that well. But I also would say just this stipulation. If the Brewers set up having Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta in a 3-game series, if that's all you know about the series, I would make the point that they would be favored in every series against any team. That one off the wall, and it's hard hit. Tellez will be held up. Takes a big turn, and it'll stay there. Caratini hit that hard. So the Brewers presenting some trouble here. A breaking ball that Caratini smacks out into the gap in left center. And Tommy Hotovy is going to go chat.
And Tellez obviously not a, I shouldn't say obviously, but he's not a real speedy guy. In a one-run game, they might take a shot here, but they're down 2. Jason Lane, the third base coach, going well down the line to give him, give him more time to read that situation. Ultimately, throws up the stop sign.
Michael Gibbons is up in the Cubs pen.
Ball game, Boog.
Yeah,
good ball game, man.
Good opening day ball game.
Going on here, back and forth.
Just joining us, Ian Happ with a big 2-run double. Nico Horner a big 2-run homer. Second and third, one out. Lorenzo Cain.
$17 hits in this ball game. 9 for the Brewers, 8 for the Cubs. The Horner home run, the only long ball in the afternoon.
Slapped foul. JD, I will say, not to overdo it, but Rowan Wick last year, his four-seam fastball averaged 94.5, and I feel like he's been a couple of ticks under that here today.
Well, there you go. There's 93.
Ross Tommy Hotovy looking on. And a 1-2. Cain able to spoil that one.
And then went at 92. And sometimes what happens, your pitchers go through periods where the ball just feels like it's jumping out of your hand and you reach kind of max velocity. There are other times when you just don't have that life and there's a tendency to want to force it. You try to muscle up, you reach back for a little something extra, and that's when you make mistakes.
So Les at third, Caratini at second. Contreras able to stop that one. So 2 balls, 2 strikes the count. The 35-year-old center fielder will be a free agent at the end of the year, Lorenzo Cain. They basically signed Cain and traded for Yelich in the same 24 hours back in the offseason going into the 18 season. Change things for their franchise. 2-2. In the air, left field, Happ drifting back. Ian shy of the track makes the catch. Tellez will tag, he will score, and we've got a 1-run game. A sacrifice fly. And it's 5-4. So 2 down, and third baseman Mike Brasso will come up to hit against Rowan Wick. And David Ross out of the dugout, and he'll bring in Michael Gibbons. Pitching change here on the north side, and the Cubs leading it by a run. Auto Group. You're going to like buying a car this way. Jenga. Cubs on top. It is 5-4, and we've got a pitching change. And a right-hander, Michael Gibbons, takes over. Pitching change brought to you by Budweiser. Those are the numbers with the Rocks and the Reds.
Yeah, solid veteran. Been on the big league scene for a number of years now. 54 appearances last year and a 3.35 ERA. One of those guys that started his career as a position player. He was a shortstop for 2-3 years in the minor leagues.
Comes from a tough arm slot for righties.
Three-pitch mix: fastball, slider, changeup. It's liberal use of his changeup. Fastball averaged 95 miles per hour last year.
Caratini at second. Going behind Gibbons has Rosso. It's 2-0. Right-hand pitcher, right-hand hitter. Yeah, that's a strike, says Ted Barrett. Gibbons who features basically fastball, changeup, slider. That's through there for a strike. 2-2.
There's that funky arm angle we talked about. Kind of slings it up there low three-quarters. Top of the zone at 94.
And it's second, 2 down. 2-2. Just off the outside edge.
Fans lobbying hard for that one. It was clearly well outside.
Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Man at second. Cubs lead it by a run. Gibbons kick steals. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Gibbons comes in, gets the punch out, and keeps it a 1-run ball game. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-4.
He was good.
Yeah, they were talking about 3.5 strikeouts throughout his appearance. He had 4 after 2 innings, right?
Absolutely.
He did what you had to do to beat the reigning Cy Young Award winner, Corbin Burns.
And Nico Horner, he looked pretty good. He did what he had to do with that power stroke, Cliff.
I mean, no homers in 2020, no homers in 2021, and then the first one of the season. So it's a big knock.
It's been over 900 days. We're going to discuss that and a whole bunch more, but let's get back to Boog and JD until then.
All right, fellas, look forward to hearing from you after the game. As Cousins pumps one in for a strike to Seiya Suzuki. Been on base 3 times, 2 walks and a hit. And here's the hit.
Trying to go away with a breaking ball. Get on the plate a little bit. He stayed on it, delivered a solid line drive single to go along with 2 walks today. So, great debut for Suzuki.
And that one in there got him looking.
Somebody's been doing some grinding in the research department.
So 1 down and Hayward up to hit. Brewers, by the way, in the 9th will have the top of their order: Wong, Adames, and Yelich. And David Robertson is up. couple of hits today. He's wrapped into a fielder's choice. Singled hard out to center field and then hit a pop-up that just found no man's land on the right side.
No man was really interested in trying to catch that ball for some unapparent reason.
No man.
I don't want him.
To the left side. Adames handles the chance. And 2 away. Cubs fans, are you holding on to footage from early Cubs games? Send it to us. We want your never before seen videos and pictures, Cubs games, for a chance to have it featured on air. So we're going to give you a lot of love for it. Enter the Marquee Sports Network Fan Addict Sweepstakes by scanning the QR code or visiting MarqueeSportsNetwork.com/addict. Do it today. Send us your videos. I want to see what people are sending to us. Can we participate in the selection process? You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and answer my own question. Yes, we can.
The watching process?
Yeah. Right?
You want to be the curator of this project?
I don't know that I want to go that far. But you immediately go to like Chevy Chase up in
the attic.
In the attic watching the old movies, right? Where's our guy, David Robertson? Got those white spikes on. Wisdom stays off that one. Gets a piece. And 1-2. Patrick 0 for 2. He's knocked in a run with a sac fly. Opening day 2022. Cubs lost the opener last year to the Pirates. Cousins has some funk
at the
beginning. Maybe not even really funk, but it's like the start of the motion where he lifts the leg and it's like, you think I'm starting right now? I'm not. Nope. No. Wisdom strikes out. Robertson will come in to try and close it out. Here on opening day, we have the 9th. Cubs lead. Memorable Cubs opening day moment, and it looks like we got our winner. Tuffy Rhodes, 34% of you said his 3 homers against the Mets on opening day against White. Good, taking that curveball out. Got him again.
Kind of favored that left center part of the ballpark, didn't he? When left in Japan.
And he mashed
home runs in Japan.
Japan. So here's David Robertson, who pitched last summer in Japan, but in the Olympics for Team USA. And then last year finished things up with the Rays.
Yeah, Tommy John surgery, August of 2019, so he hasn't pitched a whole lot since then. A very nice career, 137 career saves, 30 or more, 3 consecutive years by the Yankees.
He's got that 4-seam fastball that cuts. He doesn't intentionally throw a cutter, he told me. It's just the way it comes out of his hand. Facing Wong here. And that one in the dirt. Did it hit him?
It did not.
No. I was talking with David Robertson. They list him at 5'11", and I hadn't checked on it. And so when I first saw him in the clubhouse, I said, "You're around 6 feet, right?" And he goes, "Sure." Call you. You get the shift on against Wong. Towards left center, playable Hayward. Jason has it for out number 1. By the way, I got to get this nugget in on Robertson.
Yes.
Nobody is more furious about universal DH than David Robertson.
Why is that?
This is his 674th career appearance. He's never had a plate appearance. And he's furious about it. He wants to hit. He's not the active leader, by the way. The active leader is Brian Shaw.
Maybe something funky will happen and he'll get that bat one of these days. Good carry on that fastball. So he's not going to light up the radar gun. I mean, you talked about the natural cutting action on his four-seam. He's got a good curveball, but really tough on left-handers in his career. Yep. One of those reverse split guys. Lefty's hitting just a $189 lifetime against Robertson.
Sounded like he broke his bat. He did, and he goes the other way for a single. So Adames gets enough of it, and the tying run is on base. There's the business end out third base side of the mound.
And he makes a really nice pitch here. This ball outside corner, maybe a little bit off the corner, down around the knees. Shatters the bat, but it's a knock for Adames.
That's one of those as a pitcher you've just got to stay in process, right? Because if he throws that pitch and gets that swing most of the time.
Yeah, and you know, you're in a one-run ball game with the guy who's got power, so you're trying to stay away from slug. You know, you don't want to make a mistake over the middle of the plate. Down and away is a safe place to go. Try to induce weak contact. Not a tough break. Shattered the guy's bat, but the guy still got a base hit.
Yelich 0 for 2, a walk and a sac fly. And a strike through there from Robertson. David trying to close it out as the Cubs hanging on to a 5-4 lead with 1 out in the 9th. And Adames, the runner at first.
Just a skosh inside.
One and two now.
Quality baby in there somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Quality baby hiding.
There's an opening day memory.
Quality baby bundle.
People always ask high leverage relievers, how do you do that and not get nervous? Well, they do get nervous. They're always nervous. It's high anxiety protecting a 1-run lead in the 9th. It's how do you control it? How do you keep those guns at bay as best you can and still execute pitches?
2-2 now on Yelich. JD mentioned the slug's been down the last couple of years. The on base has still been high. Probably been a touch more passive offensively the last couple of years.
Yeah, but more thinking, I think. Been in his head a little bit.
Swinging. Robertson bans Yelich 2 away.
We saw a lot of this early in the game. Some really bad hacks by the Brewer hitters against Kyle Hendricks. He racked up 7 strikeouts through his first 4 innings. There has not been a lot of swing and miss since then. Gibbons got a big punch out to end the 8th. And now Robertson gets Yelich.
Here's McCutcheon now, who's got a couple of hits and lined out hard to center. He hit a rocket. That was back in the 5th. And there's a strike.
Yeah, he's been on point today. That line drive to center, maybe the hardest hit ball of the day.
Two outs, man out. On the ground, into the shift. Madrigal throws him out. Cubs win. Robertson nails it down, and the first W of the season in Major League Baseball belongs to the Chicago Cubs. 5-4 your final.
What a nice team win. A lot of contributions up and down the lineup. A great start from Kyle Hendricks. Solid effort from the bullpen. Everybody, all phases of the game chipping in. The Brewers were 15-4 against the Cubs last season, so this one has to feel awfully good for the guys in the third base dugout.
All right, time for our toast of the game. It's brought to you by Binny's Beverage Depot. Binny's is the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, a lot of candidates. All the H's were good today. Hendricks, Happ, Hayward, but we're going to toast Nico Horner, his first home run since 2019. He came with a man aboard in a 3-run 5th inning, and that fan was elated with that swing of the bat. Nico's pretty pumped up about it as well. Home run number 1 in the season for the Cubs goes to Nico Horner. Proved to be a big blow in this ball game.
All right, if you can't find it at Binny's, it's probably not worth drinking. Cubs win it here on opening day, 5-4 the final. Really nice work by Kyle Hendricks. Ian Happ with 3 hits on opening day. First Cub to do that since Dexter Fowler in 2016. For Jim DeShays, Taylor McGregor, and our entire crew, I'm John Shambi. Thanks so much for watching. Cubs 5, Brewers 4. Tune in tomorrow right back here on Marquee. It's Game 2 against these Brewers. Game coverage begins at 1. Up next, Cubs post-game live. Cole Wright, Cliff Lloyd, Rick Sutcliffe. Cole, it's all yours, pal.